Hi everyone, welcome back to the 86 F's to Give podcast. I'm your host Al, and I am so excited for today's episode. We are on episode 5. I cannot believe we have been doing this for over a month. But yeah, we are 5 episodes in. This has been so much fun. I am so grateful that I have started this and that people have been receiving it well. It's been honestly like the best part of my week sometimes, and you know, when people ask me like how it's going and stuff, like I just get so excited to talk about it. And I honestly tell them that like every part of this process of creating an episode is like so fun and so exciting for me. Like obviously picking the topic is super fun because I have a list and I just scroll through it. I'm like, okay, I think I'm excited to talk about this week, or like outlining the episodes. Like that gets me so fired up and so excited to actually record. And then obviously the recording process is so much fun. And then editing, I'm getting excited because I see it coming to life. Like it's just been so fun. So obviously like posting and sharing the episode and hearing people's feedback is like the coolest part as well. So again, I'm so grateful that you are here. Thank you for joining me yet again for another episode. And if this is your first episode, welcome to the pod. I am so excited for you to be here. Also, I hope you all enjoyed last week's episode with my first ever guest, Carly. That episode was like double the length of my normal episodes because there was 2 of us, obviously, and we were just getting so passionate, but also that's how we are. We just really bounce off of each other, and the conversation just was really flowing, and I'm really proud of that episode. I think we both are. So if you haven't listened or watched that one yet, I would go back and watch it. It's a really important conversation, and I think everyone can pull something away from that they can take into their daily lives. So go check that one out. I also wanted to address, because I forgot to in the last episode, that I have moved. So I'm no longer shooting in front of my clothing rack. I am in a new apartment, so I am going to be bouncing back and forth between the nook that you guys saw in last episode and my like office space corner here that I'm filming in now. If you're just audio only, that means nothing to you, but if you're on YouTube or you follow the socials, you'll see some different backgrounds. So just wanted to address that. But yeah, this week it is just me. I'm so excited to be back filming and recording. And yeah, we're going to talk about cancel culture this week. We're 86 in cancel culture, and I also kind of want to throw in, you know, under this umbrella of cancel culture, I want to talk about 86ing the need to leave mean comments on people's social media posts, because that kind of feels like it all fits under the same umbrella. You know, fitting all that into a title, it would have been tough. So we're just fitting it all under cancel culture. But I think I'm actually going to start with talking about the comment section and how people just are really bold in people's comment sections because they're hiding behind a fake name, or there isn't a name, or they're online so it doesn't matter, and they're not actually saying these things to people's faces. And I guess why I'm so passionate about talking about this is that I just truly am baffled by the thought of scrolling on social media and seeing something that bothers me so much and gets me so worked up that I feel the need to comment hateful things, nasty things about the way someone looks, how they act, how they dress, or just like simply that they exist. I just can't fathom or process where in my mind where that would be the right thing to do, because it's not. And again, I say this every episode, I'm no better than anyone else, I'm sure, especially younger me that was really but couldn't help but compare myself. You know, I would comment, I would think things like whatever, you know, we all think things, but I could never take time out of my day to actually type out those nasty thoughts. And I'm not saying I had super nasty thoughts, but other people do. And it's like the thought of commenting that, knowing that they're going to see it, like breaks my heart. Like the fact that I have the power to like affect someone's day and how they feel about themselves by just commenting a couple hateful words, like, is crazy to me. And I would never use my voice to do that intentionally to somebody. So I think that's why I get so passionate, is because I just actually don't understand it. Like I genuinely do not understand. And so I did a little digging and research on why. It all comes down to, like Carly and I talked about last episode, is someone's personal insecurities or their own jealousy. And it's like a psychological thing. When you feel the need to comment something nasty or mean or judgmental on somebody else's post, it's because you are insecure and you are feeling like you kind of need to be in control and kind of control the narrative around this person that you probably honestly wish you were, or that you had these traits or these qualities. And it's really, really sad. But I try to look at it as more of a like, it's not even like their fault. They just like don't have the confidence and the self-love and self-worth to be able to be okay enough in themselves that when they see other people thriving and doing things that maybe they would want to do, like they're not so thrown off or upset or jealous by it, you know? And I think that's where a lot of these episodes we talk about like having to do the work, and that this is a journey, right? Like you're not going to just wake up tomorrow and not care what people think or not be able to have those insecurities or those jealousies, but we're starting the conversation, right? So again, I understand the why people might feel the need to do this. I don't understand the actual doing of it. And I'm not talking about when somebody's like, hey guys, help me pick out an outfit to wear to my brother's wedding. Do you like this dress or this dress or this dress? And people are like, the first one's not my favorite. I kind of like the third. That's not hate comments. That's like genuinely just giving like a feedback or just commenting like, oh, I really liked this dress. Like, or we're saying like, hey, maybe the first one like isn't as flattering, but I really love this. Like, even that to me isn't like negative or bullying or terrible. It's the people that are masking their actual genuine hate and nastiness under like, oh, I'm just sharing my opinion, or they asked for my opinion, or I'm just giving my feedback, or I'm helping them by giving my brutal honesty and saying that they look fat in this dress. Like, no, that's actually crossing a line, and that's actually cyberbullying. Like, it's not just you giving your feedback or you're helping, and people will comment like, oh, well, I wish somebody would tell me that I looked this way in this outfit before I left the house. And it's like, no, you're actually just that insecure that like you are projecting that you feel like you look bad or whatever way in this outfit, so you're projecting that onto other people, and that's really like just not cool. You know, like it's really, really sad and not cool, and it's turning to the point where it's actually bullying. It's actually cyberbullying. That's where I have the biggest beef with things. And like, I'm not even really out here commenting many things, but I do realize how far a positive comment goes because of me receiving positive feedback, even just from this podcast or just in general. So I can only imagine how much farther a negative comment goes, because, you know, when you get feedback at work or from your teachers or whatever, like, you hold on to the negative things. Like, they could say 10 positive things about you or that you're doing really well, and they say one thing that you need to work on, and that is what you're sticking with. That's what you're taking away from that meeting or that performance review or whatever it may be. Like it's human nature to kind of hold on to that negativity and dwell in it. And in one hand, that's good because you want to be better and you want to do your best in that area. But it's also like, okay, why am I not able to hang on to the 10 other really positive things and really awesome feedback that I got? So imagine that aspect when you comment a cute little like, oh, this is so cute. Like, they probably love that and they see that and they feel really supportive. But if you comment something like, oh, your hair looks terrible, like, imagine how much longer the person that you commented that about is holding on to that comment than the, oh, you look so cute. Like, do you know what I mean? Because we all do it. We all hold on to the negative comments. And that is kind of my mindset, is like, I don't want to be the person that they are scrolling through their comments and get stuck on and see a negative thing about them that they then think about for the rest of the week or the rest of the month or the rest of the year or whatever. Or, you know, like, I don't want to be the person that makes them stop in their tracks and goes, oh my gosh, I thought this outfit was actually really cute. Like, wow, everyone hates it. And, you know, we all say everyone, even if there's only 2 negative comments. Like, you know, our brains are thinking the whole world hates us or the whole world thinks my outfit is ugly, when really only 2 people commented that. And again, that's like human nature. Like, we over dramatize things when they're negative because that it feels so big. You know, on the flip side, people could say like, and I hate this phrase, but people say like, oh, they're influencers, like they are posting their life online and they're sharing their life online, like this comes with the territory. And if that's how you think, or if people you know think like that, that deserves to be called out, right? That deserves to be called out. We're going to talk about calling out in a minute, but that deserves to be called out because that is a terrible, terrible way of thinking. Because, okay, imagine if somebody had 1 million followers and 1/10 of those people were commenting horrible things on their posts every day, which sometimes it's a lot more than that. Sometimes it's half, sometimes it's a third, sometimes it's a fourth of those followers commenting mean things. Imagine if even just 1/10, 1/12, 1/20 of those people were commenting horrible things about you on a daily basis. You would feel terrible. It's not influencers' fault that they are just the ones that like are in the public eye. Jay Shetty says something about, and this is in reference of like going on your phone first thing in the morning, but he says like, would you invite 1 million people into your bedroom first thing in the morning, or 1,000 people into your bedroom first thing in the morning? And of course the answer to that is no. And it's like, okay, well, that's what you're doing when you open your phone first thing in the morning. I'm going to use that same context here and say, would you want 500,000 people commenting on how you look or dress or act or walk or talk every single day? Would you want that? Like, obviously influencing and being online is like an amazing way to make money, and people are making a full career out of this because they're helping people or they're relatable and it's fun to watch. Like, it doesn't have to be this thing that people have to comment. And obviously they make money by our comments and our engagement, but it doesn't have to be more than that. Like, you can just comment your thoughts when they're positive and happily keep your negative thoughts to yourself. And I just thought of how like almost every single influencer or social media person that I have watched over the years, and I love YouTube, I love Instagram, I love TikTok, like I follow all the people. I'm online. I'm not chronically online, but I'm online a lot, okay? And it's my job, and I love Instagram. I love following people and seeing what they do in their lives. Almost every one of those people that I've watched over the years have had to take weeks or months or years off from posting on social media because of how nasty people have been to them. And that is so sad to me, because everybody else that's not in the influencer world, that just goes to their 9 to 5 or their whatever, their 5 to 9 or whatever it is, like gets maybe like the tiniest fraction of the feedback that these people get online. Like, okay, we have a performance review, or you hand in a project and you get feedback on it and you fix it and you turn it back in and it's fine. We're not having millions of people say, oof, that kind of sucked. Like that was kind of a flop. Like, no, we're having one person. And again, I'll go back to what I said earlier. You know how it feels to have one person, your boss, whoever, your coworkers, say, that's maybe not the best idea. Like, can we rework that? You feel so defeated. Well, I do. I know I do. It's like you'll feel so defeated from one person saying that something that you produced or that you did isn't good. And it's like, again, imagine if you had millions of people doing that, or 1,000 people doing that, or 100 people doing that on the daily basis. So I'm kind of rambling on, but I just really am trying to, and I don't think many people that listen to this, because most of you are like my friends and in my circle, are people that are making these negative comments, but it's just something that I'm passionate about. And I hope that if you are seeing other people in your circle commenting these things, to like feel confident enough, like being like, hey, it's actually just not necessary that you comment that on someone's life or what they're doing or what they're sharing online, because it's probably sticking with them for much longer than you think. And it's not just a funny comment. They're real people behind these social media platforms. So that kind of leads me into another point that actually blows my mind, is like the whole like fan bases feeling the need to go attack someone that whoever they're a fan of is like in beef with. Like, Instagram people will have beef with another Instagram person, and then their followers are going back and forth and attacking the other, and just like commenting horrible things, like telling them to unalive themselves, telling, how could you do this to this person, as if you're like friends with these celebrities or these influencers. Like, and that kind of leads into cancel culture, because then at the drop of a hat, people are flipping on these influencers. And also, it might not even be true what people are all upset about. They're flipping on them at the drop of a hat because somebody else said that this person cheated on their girlfriend, or this person did this to this person, and whatever it may be. And now all of a sudden, we all hate this person, right? We cancel this influencer or this celebrity. Cancel culture is a whole nother beast. That really blows my mind, because again, I go back to the statement of how everyone else that's not an influencer and not a celebrity and doesn't have millions of people like looking at their lives on a daily basis don't even have the capacity to get canceled, right? Like, we as normal people don't have, again, millions of followers. At any second that you say something wrong, or you have an old tweet uncovered or a post, that now all those people are stripping away your livelihood and like the way that you're making a living for yourself. Like, that is a scary place to live. And I don't know, I looked up what cancel culture means because like obviously we know like what it means to cancel someone, but the key word there is to publicly shame people and remove their support, right? Because of something they said or done that people think is like irreparable. There's no coming back from it, which is hilarious because people that get canceled come back from it all the time because that's how humans are. We get so worked up about something and then a month later, not even a month later, we forget about it and we're back to loving these influencers. Like nothing happened. And again, I'm not talking about the times that people are like racist or do actual horrible things that deserve to be canceled, right? Like I'm talking about people. I actually have 2 examples that I want to talk about that are like currently happening in pop culture. If you are online like I am, you probably know both of these references, but the first one is Brooke Schofield. She is just like an influencer and she's on Tana Mojo's podcast, which I think she has since been like removed from due to this whole thing, but she had some like racist tweets get uncovered. Well, first of all, for context, if you don't know who this is, she just grew immensely on social media due to talking about a relationship that she had that was like really traumatizing for her, and she shared like all the details and it was like getting millions of views and she got a lot of followers from it. So that all happened, and then and I don't know who like uncovered these tweets, probably somebody that she had beef with, but there was tweets from when she was like a teenager that were actually like genuinely really racist. And again, I think people need to be held accountable for things that end in ist or ism, like sexism, homophobia, all the things, racism, obviously, like people need to be held accountable. But I just want everyone to take a second and reflect on if you have ever said something, tweeted something, thought something, had a conversation with somebody that involved a racist, homophobic, sexist comment. I'll give you a silent thinking second. The answer is you have done that. We all have. And again, I'm not saying that people can just do that, right? I think obviously everyone needs to be held accountable for comments of that sort. But the thought that no one is allowed to say anything remotely wrong or inappropriate ever in their lives is just like so unrealistic and quite literally impossible, that if we all had millions of people, millions of eyes watching our every move, we would all be canceled at some point. Like we would all be canceled for something at some point. And it's, again, not fair that we don't allow these influencers who they let us into their lives, right? And we find something about them that we enjoy, that we think is relatable. So we follow along, and we find entertainment in getting to see their lives and the things that they do on a daily basis or whatever it is. We get to hear their stories and their traumas, and they tell us about their lives or whatever. Like we find relatability in that, and that's entertainment to us, and that is great, right? Like they let us in on that. But I don't think that means that we get to also be let in on and comment on all of the mistakes and things that they have done in the past or even currently and just like absolutely destroy them, because people are humans, and humans make mistakes because we're humans, not robots. We're not AI. We're not perfect, right? Like it's impossible. It's unrealistic. So again, I follow Brooke, and I think she originally made an apology video that maybe missed the mark a little, but came back and understood that video missed the mark and is doing the work. She's donated to different anti-racism foundations and things like that. Like she is doing the work. And I think if people are doing the work and proving that they're doing the work, that they deserve that chance to be forgiven. And it's okay if not everyone can forgive, because I'm sure those comments and those tweets really hurt people. But again, we've all had thoughts that were really inappropriate and that should not come out of people's mouths or be said or tweeted or put publicly, and we're just lucky that we don't have millions of people watching our every move, right? And the other example I want to talk about is the Chris Olsen situation that's happening right now. So Chris is a TikToker, and he had images of him released online without his consent, which is just like the most horrible thing. And people are like bullying him and calling him ugly and commenting on these images and like saying he's annoying and all these things, and how like they don't understand how he's so famous and all this stuff, saying really, really, really nasty things, all because of something that got shared without his consent and that he didn't post himself or share himself. And this has a lot of nuances, hopefully I'm using that word correctly, in it, because like it has the whole comment of sex working, people thinking that's an issue, and it's like, I personally do not. I think that if that's how people are making a living and they're doing it in a healthy manner and providing for their family or themselves or whatever it may be, like go all the way off, queens. Like I do not care. Not something I would participate in myself, but again, does not affect me whatsoever because it's not my life, right? So that whole part of it is, right? Like it's like, okay, we're going to comment on his pictures being released, but like other people do this for a living, right? So that's one side of it. The other side of it is that this is like harassment. So we're past the cyberbullying, right? Like it's actually harassment at this point, and especially because there was no consent given. So it's like really, really, really crazy to me that people think that they are able and responsible and allowed to comment such horrible things to someone after they're already in such a horrible state. For Brooke and Chris, I can't imagine what either of those situations feel like when, like, you know, you've done growth and you're not the same person you were when you tweeted those tweets or took those images, or even if you are, like, whatever, like with the images side, like hopefully Brooke is still not racist, but with Chris's side, like even if you like are proud of those and like whatever it is, like no one deserves to have such horrible things said to them on a daily basis. It really just blows my mind. I bring up those two examples because they're very, very different from each other, and you know, one requires like accountability and the other one is like really out of his control. And I think we can learn a lot about cancel culture because they're both getting canceled for one, somebody that said something horrible, right, but has since learned and grown and is still growing. And then another person is getting canceled completely out of his control by somebody sharing these like images of himself. So it's just crazy, the range of cancel culture and how it's like such public shaming. And I don't like shame in general. Like the thought of doing it publicly online, like not in a group, not in a room full of people, publicly online where thousands and millions of people are going to see it, is really, really, really sad to me. And so I wanted to kind of end this episode talking about a new philosophy that I actually just came across from Loretta J. Ross. She's an American activist, and I recently did her Zoom training on call-in culture, which is the opposite of calling out. She also talks about canceled culture a lot in her trainings because that's what calling out ultimately leads to in many cases. So again, calling out is when you're publicly shaming, you're like grandstanding, you're putting on a show. It's almost a little bit for the caller outer's benefit as well, as like, oh, look guys, I am calling this person out. I'm doing the community and the world a service by calling this person out and making them feel shameful and making them feel like they did such a horrible thing, right? Calling in is the complete opposite. It is a more intimate kind of invitation to have someone work through whatever feelings or like misunderstandings or lack of education that they're having. So it's more of an invitation to like have those difficult conversations and sit down and learn from each other. And also for the caller inner to be like, explain to me why you feel like this. Like, you know, like let's get down to the nitty gritty of like why you are feeling like this and kind of where this all stems from, because then both parties are learning, right? And it's an educational conversation. It's not just a public shaming. It's a, hey, I noticed that you've said a couple microaggressions at work to this person, and I'm not calling you out in front of everybody, but I want to call you in and help you learn and educate you on why saying those things or making those comments is not okay. And she you know, she talks about there actually is a time and a place for calling out, right? Like she says, you know, there's sometimes where calling out is the only way that it gets through to people because they're so locked in on their mindset that they're not in a place to be called in. And sometimes calling out in the right manner is the only way to get through to them, to then be able to call them in and say, hey, you know, like once they've been kind of publicly addressed, they're able to kind of snap out of it and be like, oh, okay, I don't like how this feels. I don't like this public shaming that I'm feeling. Like, let me do the work to be better. And I will absolutely link her website. I think she's coming out with a book early 2025. So I'm really excited to get my hands on that. So I will link all of her information in the descriptions of the podcast and stuff. But the big takeaway here is to call in over calling people out. Call them in, have a conversation with them, sit them down and say what you've noticed and how it's making people feel, rather than publicly shaming them and making them feel just as bad as the person that they made feel bad for whatever comments or actions they did to them, right? So I think ultimately in this conversation, I feel like I said a lot of the same things over and over again, but just put yourself in other people's shoes for 2 seconds before you comment something so horrible. And again, I know most of the people listening to this are not the people that are commenting things on, like, mean things on people's social media, but I don't doubt that we all know people that are doing that. So again, if you see them, call them in for a conversation and invite them to be better, right? Like, and it's not in a way of like, I'm better than you. It's like, let's be better together. Let's like hold each other accountable to not be so nasty online and to make whatever communities we're a part of a better place because we're in it, right? Like, we want to leave people and places better than when we found them. And that is kind of the moral of today's story, is to just be nice online. And it's just because you're behind a computer screen or a phone screen does not mean that you are able to just say whatever you want. You know, and I'm not sure, maybe we can talk about this in the comments. I just had this thought, but if you guys have any ideas on ways we can kind of call in cancel culture, if that makes sense. Like, I obviously, you know, this one conversation is not going to stop cancel culture, and in no way are the like 50 people that listen to this also going to be able to stop cancel culture, but it's hopefully a step in the right direction and gets your brain going on when you see things like that, is to like not just be so quick to unfollow someone because you see somebody else saying that they said this or they did this horrible thing. Like, do your own research. If you feel compelled and the need to unfollow someone, by all means, go for it. But don't just be so quick to see one comment or one video about how someone did something when they were 14 to unfollow, right? Like, just sit down, think a minute before you hop on the trend of canceling someone, because they're humans, right? Like, if we, again, I'll say this one more time, like if cancel culture was a thing in like our corporate jobs or our like 9-to-5s, like the equivalent of like canceling people online is like like I said, like everyone in the office just like hating this one person and all jumping on the bandwagon of like them being a terrible human and we're not going to talk to them and not collaborate with them or work with them, but like they still have to be there, right? Like, it wasn't like a fireable offense, but everyone just hates them. Like, imagine being that person in the office. All right, I digress. Because like I said, I know you guys, my listeners, aren't the people doing this, but again, call in people when you see them being nasty, because I say this in every episode, but our job is to be the best versions of ourselves and to help others be the best version of themselves. So that is all for today's episode. I hope it made a little bit of sense and had a few takeaways. I think cancel culture is the most bonkers thing in the whole wide world. So yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week, or drive or walk, whatever you're doing while you listen to this. Remember to follow us on socials at 86Fs to give, and please leave a comment on what you thought on either Spotify or YouTube or on the socials. They make me so happy to see your comments, so please let me know what you think, or if you have any ideas for future topics, I would love to add to my list. But yeah, if no one's told you recently, I'm proud of you and I love you, and remember to 86 cancel culture / leaving mean comments on people's social media. Okay, bye.